And immigration is expected to be a big topic in the coming weeks. On Thursday, President Trump met with Republican leaders to discuss the topic. He's hoping to broker a deal that would give approval to his proposed border wall and an extension of DACA, the policy that protected young undocumented immigrants brought to the U.S. as children from deportation. And that is just one of the many things on tap as Congress gets back to work. And here to discuss all of this with us right now is Dr. Norman Provisor from Metropolitan State University of Denver. And we thank you so much for being here with us today to talk about any and all of these issues. Let's first talk about the book. You know, Congress is supposed to be getting back to work right now, but all we hear is people talking about this book and all the damaging remarks about it. Do you think that this is too big of a distraction right now?
Well, I'm not sure whether it's a distraction, but it's getting an awful lot of attention. You might say it's created this fire and fury. The title is very accurate.
Sure.
And actually, it's kind of has struck home because I noticed recently that President Trump gave some off-the-cuff comments about North Korea, in which he threatened North Korea with fire and fury. So maybe he even had the book on his mind. But it's hard to resist. Now, there'll be all kinds of discussions of it. Interestingly enough, the author, Michael Wolff, is a character in his own right. I mean, he's a story in and of himself as well. And there'll be more and more of that as we're going, as kind of we go through all of the discussions of the book. But, some of it kind of produces the notion that you're going to stop publication. I mean, all of that, the author quite rightly said, thanks for saying that. That just increased my sales. And that's absolutely true. That's not going to happen. And new movie out, The Post, is about the Pentagon Papers.
Sure.
I mean, there's something in their democracy. While there are secrets, there is something to be said for openness. There's something to be said for not keeping too many secrets. It's something to be said for not hiding under the shroud of national security when you're just protecting your own interests. So all of those things, I think, are part of this package.
And do you think all of those things will prevent Congress and the president from moving forward with, I know he's talked about infrastructure as his big word for 2018.
Well, I think there's going to be a push actually to do some things, because one of the things that the president, the current occupant of the White House, President Trump, is very good at is shifting stories so that they're in his interest. I would think at some point you want to keep emphasizing you can get something done. They've spent a lot of energy and time on the tax bill and in terms of promoting what a great success and all of that's a bill that'll still be debated in terms of whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. But there was a big emphasis on getting something done because nothing had been done essentially almost during the entire first year of the presidency. So I think there will be an emphasis on trying to build on that and get some other things accomplished. Now, how you get that done and how you balance that off, that remains to be seen.
And he does have successes. I mean, when you look at the stock market at a record high and our unemployment rate at a record low, I mean, that is something to celebrate with our economy.
Well, I think there's no question about it. And again, I don't want to take partisan sides, but if you look at it from both sides, from the Democratic side, all of this recovery was well underway before the 2016 election. It was all there. I mean, on the one hand, sometimes we forget this, where we were in 2008 and where we were, in 2016 under President Obama. There was enormous recovery. Enormous in terms of the unemployment rate. It's gone down a little bit more, but it was pretty much at this level when Obama was in office. So I think you need, part of the issue that'll come up, and this can be a partisan debate, is to whether or not President Trump, he always says he inherited the worst situation in the history of America. That's a bit of hyperbole, to say the least. And that's not true. But he actually, in fact, inherited an economy recovering from a deep and dark recession. So same thing with unemployment rates, same thing with the stock market. Where was the stock market in 2008? Where was it prior to the 2016 election? So anyway, it's a continuation of a trend, and so there'll be arguments over that.
And we'll obviously keep watching to see what those numbers do. In the meantime, the proposed wall, the extension of DACA, trying to pull those things together, is that going to happen?
Well, it's going to be very difficult. I think the people who are against the wall saying that it really does not serve much of a purpose when you think about it, really analyze it. If you forget about the immigration piece of it, one of the other aspects of it is drugs. Preventing drug. Well, that's not going to affect drugs coming into the country one way or the other. To be everyone, I think any expert who's looked at that understands, given all the paths that drugs take to get into a nation, that's not really going to be an issue. So there's strong opposition to linking them. There is strong, but there has been support on the Republican side for doing something about on the DACA front, dealing with those young people who are now been left in complete limbo. I mean, complete limbo. So I think there'll be a push to do that. How far either side will go, how much compromise you have to make on that. Again, we'll see how that plays out as we go through.
We have 20 seconds left. So what do you think will be the #1 issue to deal with right now for Congress?
Well, I think for Congress, to me, the major issue is always paying your bills, funding the government. To me, the worst thing that can happen, whether it's done by Democrats or Republicans, is to not fund things for the future, not have money to pay your bills. That'll produce a whole string of things, all of which are negative.
Well, keep watching. Dr. Provisor, thank you so much.
My pleasure, as always. Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.